Hi, I'm Mike Davis, founder and CEO of StoryPress. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why you need to invest in this company. It is the perfect product at the perfect time to change the way we think about history, stories, and sharing memories. Let's start with the vision of StoryPress. We believe that stories matter and should be saved and shared for future generations. They're meaningful to parents, to children, to grandchildren, but also to inspire people. Stories from nonprofits, survivors, military veterans. It's not just their family, it's also the community at large. Stories matter, people's voice matter, and we have the best vehicle to capture and share these stories. The vision might be that stories matter and that we need to save them, but the ultimate goal is to be the world's largest repository of digital stories and memories. When people create a story on StoryPress, they're not just giving us their stories and their memories in spoken fashion, illustrating with photos and videos to make them come to life. They're also giving us great meta information. They can tag who is in their story, where that story takes place, and when it happened. The reason this matters is because it will make our inventory of stories come to life in ways never before thought possible. Imagine being able to type in a city like Normandy and hear stories just about Normandy, or type in Ho Chi Minh or 1963. You can even put in your hometown and hear stories about your hometown, adding a year, adding people's names, and the database just gets smarter and smarter and smarter. The power of this can only be limited by your imagination. Putting all these stories under one roof, tagged correctly with meta information, will create amazing experiences that we haven't even begun to think of yet. How we're going to accomplish the goal of being the world's largest repository of digital stories and memories starts with building the world's easiest and most intuitive story creation application. And we've already done this. It's on iPhone, iPad, and it will work from any web browser. To make storytelling easy, we've invented this concept called story guides, which are similar to PowerPoint templates. If you don't know where to begin with your story, you can choose one of our templates, our story guides, from a range of topics: family history, survivor, military, first job, first date, etc. You pick the story guide and it comes with several questions ready to go. By simply answering the question by talking, adding a photo if you have it, and scrolling through the 5 to 10 of these questions that we have, we can build a media-rich story for you. All you have to do is talk, add photos, and video. And we can do this on many devices. You can start on one, finish on the other. Everything is synced in the cloud. We handle any media the person throws at us, photos, videos, background music, and the system magically puts everything together and creates a beautiful presentation. Once the story is completed, we turn it into a movie. The reason we do that is so it can be played back from anywhere. Though we have iPad and iPhone, we want people to watch stories on Android, on Windows, on BlackBerry, anywhere. And the video is a universal format that can be watched anywhere. So once our stories are done, they're turned into videos, and we encourage people to share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Pinterest, to email it, to text it, and get that story watched by as many people as possible. Before talking about monetization, I want to talk about an unmet need that we discovered while developing and prototyping this product. Not only do people have stories, but organizations have stories too. For-profits and nonprofits especially. In fact, how well nonprofits communicate their stories usually has a direct impact on their bottom line and how much money they receive in donations. Going back to the concept of story guides that make it very easy for people to tell stories, it also makes it very easy for businesses and nonprofits to capture stories. So StoryPress is now the premier crowdsourced story platform. What I mean by that is every story guide has a link. So if you're Habitat for Humanity or Meals on Wheels, two partners of ours, they have a story guide for their donors, they have a story guide for their volunteers, and they have a story guide for the people they help. All of these media-rich stories that they want to have so that they can share them, embed them on their homepage, and use them to drive more traffic and more donations. These organizations can have story guides on StoryPress and then share those links and get people building stories. Once the stories are complete, not only can the user who made them share them on their social media, but the business is now notified their story has been created, and they can take the same link, embed it on their homepage, share it on Facebook, Twitter, etc., driving up views together. In fact, this is such a powerful unmet need that we've made it the centerpiece of our go-to-market strategy. As you'll see in the next couple segments of this video, we are now working with over 30 different partners, small, medium, and large, to help them collect stories, share stories. And this is important to us. As you'll see, this is how we're going to make our money, but it also leads to meaningful stories very quickly. By working with top-tier nonprofits who have a need for stories, who promote great causes, We will grow through quality partners and quality stories, and as people see these stories, then organically coming to our product to download and tell their own stories and begin our viral growth. Monetization. There are 3 ways we're going to generate revenue from StoryPress. The first one, and probably the most important one, is what I call sponsorship, which means that as people create stories from a brand, that we incorporate the brand sponsoring into these stories. Let me give you an example. Let's say we were working with a large family history company that wanted to collect thousands of family history stories from their millions of users. As they distribute the link to their story guide or story guides and have their users creating thousands of stories and being viewed hundreds of thousands of times, that is very valuable real estate for those brands to generate future users and grow organically. As someone who's already using their product or service creates a story about it, puts it on their Facebook, their Twitter, their Pinterest, even if it's only viewed 20 to 30 times, if they're creating thousands a day, you're talking about 20 to 30,000 organic and word of mouth potential viewership growth. So that real estate on before and after a story is insanely valuable, and that's what we intend to sell. So if you're a large family history company, if you're a travel company, even a nonprofit, we're going to include that branding before the story starts and when the story ends. So for example, going back to the family history, before it might say, this story brought to you by Family History Company X, then the story plays naturally, and then at the end of it, thank you for watching, and maybe a small 5 or 10 second little commercial, and then a link to sign up, or a link to donate, or a link to book your trip. So by selling the advertisement real estate before and after the story to the brand that brought it is what I call sponsorship, and it's actually a very popular trend right now. It's called content marketing, and this is user-generated content marketing. So this is why we're so valuable to businesses and brands who want to collect user-generated stories and being able to market that product to grow their business. The other 2 ways we'll generate revenue are through advertisements and license. So going back to the sponsorship example where the real estate before and after a story starts, if the story doesn't come from a sponsored story guide, if they just found us on their own and told the story, we can still put ads before and after stories. Because we have such great metadata and we know what the story is about, we know where that story took place, when it took place, we believe we can have very targeted ads and show very high quality, relevant advertisement before and after the story and monetize on a pay-per-view basis, very similar to YouTube or any other website that shows ads. And you're used to seeing an ad right before the video starts. You can get a few seconds per view, a few million views a day, and that adds up pretty quick. That is not something that we're focused on right now for 2015. We really believe that the sponsorship with quality partners will generate much higher revenue, and not only generate revenue, but help us grow much faster. So that's our primary focus. And the third and final way we intend to make money is through licensing. We've already been approached by several companies that love the technology, love how easy it is to tell a story, like the idea of story guides so they can control the experience, but want to do it under their own label, their own branding. That is something we take on a case-by-case basis. We don't have a license or enterprise program that we're out pitching right now, but when people approach us, we do take it seriously, and we are in the process of coming up with 2 quotes for that right now with large companies that are interested in a white label. So now that we've talked about the product and the business model, I'm going to talk a little bit about the team and what we've accomplished so far. Before doing that, I do want to iterate that everything I've explained before is designed, developed, tested, and launched. The black hole of development and design is over. We have to date, and today is January 25th, we have over 5,000 downloads on iOS, over 3,000 stories created, and stories have been viewed in aggregate 30,000 times in the last 90 days. So we are very much into the growth stage and acquiring partners, and like I said before, trying to grow through quality partners and quality stories. Our team is made up of 3 full-time people. Myself, obviously, I'm the CEO. My background is mechanical and aerospace engineering. I graduated from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in 2005. 2 engineering degrees, and then I spent 7 years doing R&D for Fortune 500 medical device companies from upstate New York, Connecticut, and then most recently in Austin, Texas. I was responsible for designing, developing, and launching several large product lines. My largest was a line of disposable medical instruments that did $20 million in sales its first year, and I did that for Covidian in New Haven. My right-hand man is our CTO, Eric London. He was one of our earliest friends and family investors and was an advisor for a year while he kept his day job. As soon as we had raised enough money to warrant a full-time C-level person, he quit his high-paying day job. He was a vice president of software development for a hedge fund in Connecticut, took a massive pay cut and has been working with us full-time for about 7 months now, designing and developing the iOS, the back end, and some of the web front-end work as well. He had a contractor reporting to him for a year who's now on an on-call basis, but it was the two of them that did most of the heavy lifting, and everything you see development-wise was done by 2 people. We're very lean, we're very clever. I have one marketing associate reporting to me. She's fairly young, an associate level position, but helps me with social media, partner relations, and general marketing day-to-day work. So it is the 3 of us. Her name is Rachel, myself, Mike, and Eric. So everything we've accomplished with just 3 people, our burn rate's very low, which is great, but it's also very, very much overworking everyone, and it's very difficult to grow and to bring on new partners and new product lines and new marketing and work on new features with 3 people, which is skeleton would be a compliment. But that's the 3 of us, very high potential, very lean team. Our fundraising history starts in summer 2012 with a $40,000 friends and family round led by my wife's parents, myself, and some of my friends from college. So we raised $40,000 in summer 2012, and by December 2012 had a minimum viable product that we launched on the iPad. March of that year we were on Kickstarter. We raised another $15,000 with a successful Kickstarter campaign. And then summer 2013, we started our first seed round. There have been 3 since in the last year and a half, totaling about $400,000. So we had the $40,000 from friends and family, $15,000 from Kickstarter, and then 3 rounds between $170,000 and $230,000 each time, pretty much with the same investors, and in total about $540K has been raised so far. Presently, we're working on a convertible note. We believe we will be ready for a Series A by this summer. We'll attempt to raise $7.5 to $10 million. But between now and the summer, we need to continue bringing on users, continue bringing on partners, and being able to show that through these sponsored story guides, we can monetize with the partners. We have several large pilots that have been, some have been signed, some are close to being signed up to start in February, where we will actually start generating revenue and proving that with these quality partnerships and the size of their reach, we will grow quickly and monetize. So with your help, we can stay afloat, we can close these deals, we can close more deals, and position ourselves for a large Series A this summer, and then become the name brand leading storytelling application in the world. In conclusion, this is the perfect time to invest in StoryPress and join our team. The product is designed, developed, and launched. More so than that, there are thousands of users and thousands of stories already, and multiple letters of intent from large partners already in place. These funds are essential because they will allow us to execute these deals with these large partners, generate revenue, and generate stories. The funds are also important because we have to take these small successes we're going to have in the next 2 or 3 months and showcase them as case studies, and then get those in front of even more partners and grow even faster. We are squarely focused on a handful of partners right now. Some of them are very large publicly traded companies, making sure they are successful with StoryPress because 1, they might actually buy StoryPress if they like what they see and or invest in it, but more importantly, being able to show that success and then start replicating it. And that's the position we want to be in by the summer when we talk to the venture capitals, when we try and raise large sums of money, that we have success under our belt, that large businesses are seeing value with story creation, story sharing, and that we can take that model and we can replicate it. So right now is a great time to come on board. We're post-design development. We have the letters of intent. It's just about sealing the deals, making these case studies, and then being in a position to grow quickly. If you're interested, feel free to contact us to learn more. We'd love to bring you up to speed, tell you about the note, and give you a behind-the-scenes look of what's on the forefront. Thank you.